Hi everyone, and welcome back to Bryan's Business World. We're continuing with our series about when to call it quits, part 4, and the focus of today's segment will be results. So what do I mean by results? By results, I mean a complete, specific, and detailed itemization of everything you have achieved to date regarding a specific project, job, career, activity, or business. You really need to be thorough and detailed regarding this task, as a failure to include something may overrate or underrate your results to date. So, for example, did you open a new store? Did you sell X number of product to customers? Did you get Y number of visitors on your website? All of these data points count as results. I would highly recommend that you take some time and really write everything down so that you can have a careful and honest review of your results. So, in your opinion, how'd you do? How do the results look? Now, most people generally classify their results to date in one of 3 categories or buckets. So, the first bucket is, that's not great, or it's kind of bad, the negative one. The second bucket is, it's okay or pretty good. And the third bucket or category is, it's very good, great, or I'm happy with it. So a very key question for you: why are you characterizing the results in this fashion? Thus, the hard work for you begins in that you need to figure out why you are rendering such judgments on the results. So allow me to give you a few tools that might guide you in your thinking on looking at the results. There's 2 sets of criteria that you can use regarding looking at the results. One is objective criteria, and the second is subjective criteria. Objective criteria are often measurable and not dependent on any individual's preferences or tastes. As a general rule, objective criteria often involve the use of numbers or measurement. So some examples might be sales data, sales growth, website visitors, profits, losses, that type of thing. What are subjective criteria? Anything that regards your personal taste or preference, or another person's personal taste or preferences. Typically, you can't measure subjective criteria and you can't disprove it. However, subjective criteria are very important, in fact, just as important as objective criteria in measuring your success and the results to date. So what would be some examples of subjective criteria? You love the finishing color of the new restaurant that you just opened, and getting a good review or reviews for the restaurant that you just opened. You can't plot those types of things on an XY axis or plug them into Excel, but they are hugely important in terms of evaluating the success of your restaurant. Now let's go back, taking an example of a restaurant, and look at some objective criteria in a little more detail. So let's say a restaurant has lost money every month for about 3 years. Never even broke even one month, and profitability seems nowhere in sight. It's over the horizon. The objective data says that the restaurant is failing. When the data is this clear, it's often very, very difficult to even have a decision. And what I mean by that is that if you're clearly failing objectively in black and white, there's often not a decision to quit or not. It's more like, how do you get out of something in an elegant and graceful fashion and avoid harm or damage to others and yourself? So when you're objectively failing, it's really not all that much of a decision of whether to quit or not. It's just, how do you get out of this in the best way possible? Now, I'd like to address another fairly clear-cut and easy to understand situation, which is the third bucket. The results are good or even great, and the person is happy with them. Generally speaking, the only reason you would not continue with a successful endeavor is that something has changed or there are new items to consider. For example, boredom, burnout, changed circumstances such that you may not be able to succeed in the future, or success may be much more difficult. Other opportunities are opening up to you that may require you to quit a successful project or venture. And finally, a significant amount of additional investment may be required to continue your prior level of success, and really you may not be interested in doing that amount of investment anymore. So let's talk about the hardest outcome, which is it's okay or pretty good. How do we evaluate that? So first question I have back to you. How are you coming to this conclusion? By what criteria? Sales, other data, subjective results? You have made a judgment of okay, it's okay, or pretty good. How? Are you using your own personal criteria of success or what has been handed to you by others? And you need to be really honest here. Again, so much of what we define as success has been imposed on us by other people. So you really need to make sure you are using your own idea of success and not somebody else's. So let's say you've gotten through all of this and you really are using your own genuine idea of success. Where do you go if the result really is okay or not that great? Well, you need to ask two things. And the first thing is there any immediate investment or in the near future investment required to continue? And then, will this investment allow you to continue the status quo, or does it have any sort of chance of improving the situation? And if the answer to those questions are that it's really the continued investment really isn't going to do that much for you, then yes, maybe you should look at quitting. I mean, you've got okay, mediocre results to date that genuinely match up with your personal values and your personal definition. Things aren't going that great, and maybe, you're going to have to put a lot more into this thing, and it doesn't appear it's really going to go anywhere. So in that situation, you should have the honesty and integrity to say, hey, maybe I need to quit this thing and move on to something else. So I hope you've enjoyed our segment today and got something out of this and can look at the results produced in your business projects, or any project for that matter, in a different light. Thank you for listening, and look forward to speaking with you soon. Thank you.